Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host Russ, and today's episode is an extra special bonus episode, the D23 One. This is an episode that I've had in the pipeline for a while. This is one that obviously I've basically been waiting for D23 to come out, to happen, and at that point I can have this opportunity to run through all of the new attractions, lands, and everything else beyond that. As we'll all know, we've all been very excited about D23, about all of the announcements that are going to be made. There's been fantastic film and TV announcements. There's been announcements for rides. There's been announcements for attractions at Orlando, Paris, and beyond. But I'm going to stick to Orlando. I'm going to stick to the D23 announcements in Orlando. I think it's the fair thing to do. I think it's the realistic thing to do for this channel at this point, because realistically, this is Orlando Adventures podcast. So if you're here, you're probably here to listen to Orlando-based content. And there is some exciting stuff. There really are some exciting announcements that Disney have opted to make. There's some exciting announcements of rides that are going to be coming sooner rather than later as well. So let's kick it off. There are announcements for each of the four main Disney parks in Orlando. And there's no other place to start other than Magic Kingdom. Let's start with Magic Kingdom. Let's start with the big one. The big one being the Villains Land. So Villains Land is a concept that has been floating around for a little while now. I know that it certainly was something that Disney have spoke about before, but they've never really put like pen to paper on it. They've never specifically gone, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to do it in X, Y, or Z park. We're going to do it at this time. It hasn't happened. However, at this point, they have now announced it. So they've now announced that a Villains Land is coming. It's going to be 2 major attractions, as well as shopping and dining areas. Preparation is underway. Okay, so let's just cool it on the villains a little bit, because this isn't going to happen straight away. This is, as much as anything, their big announcement, but it's their big announcement knowing full well that all of the announcements before it are going to happen sooner. This is going to be potentially a big land. It's going to have 2 attractions. And like I said, the preparations are underway, but there is nothing set in stone as regards to an opening date. So if we're going to be realistic to this, I wouldn't expect to see this open until probably 2027. And that's realistic. And it's not a bad thing, because there's so many exciting things coming. There's so many exciting things that they've announced over the course of the weekend, especially yesterday evening or this morning. And honestly, I think all of us are buzzing for Disney Villains. Disney Villains, genuinely, Disney have smashed it out the park time and time again with their films and TV shows with regards to the villains that are in them. I've said this before, I'm a big film guy. I'm really into my films, and one of the main takeaways that I always have from any successful film is a good villain. If you have a good villain, you have the backbone immediately to a successful story. So to have a land based on some of these fantastic villains over the years is so exciting. And honestly, I'm buzzing for it. I'm buzzing to find out more information, buzzing to find out kind of which villains are going to feature, in what capacity as well. It'll be so interesting to see how Disney opt to put all of these villains into one place as well, how it can kind of link all of them, because they're obviously all from different kind of worlds, different films. It's exciting. This is exciting times. As you can tell from my voice, I'm buzzing for this. I've obviously been thinking about this all morning, soaking it all in, reading up on it, trying to just pull some information together for you guys so that we can basically drop this episode for you as soon as possible. The next section that they have announced for Magic Kingdom is part of Frontierland is going to be reimagined for Cars. However, unlike Cars Land in Disneyland California Adventure, this is going to remain part of Frontierland, and the new space is going to have 2 attractions, which is very exciting. You have got the first attraction, which is going to be more geared to the bulk of guests, so your older guests as well. The first one's going to invite you on a thrilling rally race through the mountains. Take on a wild terrain as you race across the landscape, climbing mountain trails, dodging geysers, and Mater's favourite, splashing through mud holes. This is going to be cool. I'm well up for this, and I'm well up for the fact that this isn't going to be the same as elsewhere as well. We like the fact that we kind of get something unique in Orlando. That's what it's all about. We want different different attractions as much as anything. It's all well and good seeing something coming that's been elsewhere, but if we can get something unique, something we don't know about, something that's got a bit more buzz because it's a bit of a surprise, then I'm all for it. And they're catering for our younger guests as well, and there will be another ride directly for younger guests in mind, and the construction on this area is going to begin in 2025. Obviously, it doesn't say at what point in 25. Everything they've announced is basically 25 onwards. That's realistic. Like, nothing's going to get built this year at this point. It's just that is how it is. And I think Cars is going to be a great addition. I think Cars is certainly a big, exciting land that is in the California Adventure Park. And I'm really, really up for seeing Cars entering Magic Kingdom. The next thing for Magic Kingdom, there is going to be a new Pirates-themed tavern that will open in 25. This is one of these things, we didn't know we needed it, but now I need it. I like it. I'm so up for this. I'm so up for having a Pirates-themed tavern. I think that will be so cool. What a welcome addition to the park. And like, we love pirates. I think I don't know many people out there who don't enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean, and genuinely I think that what a great idea, because it's just to do a themed restaurant. I don't think is a huge amount of work to do, but for them to do it, I think it's an absolute shout. I think it's a top tier idea. Really, really up for it. And the final thing that's going to be going into Magic Kingdom, and a lot of you are going to be very excited about this one, is a new parade in the spirit of the beloved Main Street Electrical Parade is coming, and it's going to be called Disney Starlight. I've said before, I'm not a huge parade guy, but at the same time, I fully appreciate parade for what it is, and like many of you, I will be very excited to see this. It's new content as much as anything. To be able to go and see something new in Magic Kingdom is always going to be an absolute win. Always up for doing stuff at night, as you know. I'm keen on any park in the dark, and you know, anything that brings the opportunity for us to see these parks lit up in the dark. I'm here for it all day long. Heading out of Magic Kingdom then. So we're going to go out of Magic Kingdom and we're going to go to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Well, they've announced a couple of different things in this park. The first thing that they've announced is to do with Star Wars Smuggler's Run. So I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of this ride, but I'm actually here for what they've announced. They've gone for essentially a retheme. They've essentially gone retheme, but with a new story. So it's going to be The Mandalorian and Grogu. Okay, so it's going to be a new storytelling with two new characters. Whether or not they retheme the entire ride, it's unclear, to be honest with you. But it seems that they're gonna go full in with Mando and Grogu. I think it's an absolute shout. I think it's a great way to go. Obviously, the fact that it's on the Millennium Falcon doesn't necessarily tie in with the Mandalorian, but I'm sure they can tie it in one way or another. I'm sure that's not an issue. This is going to be launching in 2026. Coinciding with the new film that they actually announced. I'm pretty sure that's going to be coming in May 26. So, you know, you never know that we might be basically getting a Mando and Grogu storyline that might be fitting to the film, or it might be a completely standalone attraction. Not really sure, but it's exciting nevertheless. I'm really, really up for this, and I absolutely can't wait to see what they do with it. It's going to be really, really cool. The next thing that we've got is the Monsters Inc. land. And it is the first Monsters Inc. land in any Disney park, and it is coming to Hollywood Studios. So there's going to be a suspended coaster. This is the first suspended coaster that Disney have got in any of their parks. It's going to be set in the Monsters Inc. Laugh Factory. I'm going to be honest with you, I've never seen Monsters Inc. Half of you are probably like, what even are you? I've never seen it. I don't know how. It's just never happened. But I'm buzzing for this, and I think it might be this evening's evening watch is to certainly get involved in the first Monsters Inc. film. I like a land. I know not everyone is a fan, and I absolutely get it. I actually completely appreciate it, because you shoehorn yourself by having lands specific to an IP. But you know what? In Hollywood Studios, I'm kind of here for it. It's The work is due to begin in 25. There's no word as to where in the park this may be either. So this is me speculating, but there is a chance that this might end up closing another attraction, whether it's something like Muppets or something different. I'm not sure. I did try to look into it. Obviously, they've only just announced this, so they haven't announced like all of the fine details. Ultimately, we're going to find out all of these things in due course. It's not going to take us too long to get this kind of information out at some point, whether or not it's through news, rumours, and whatever else. With the work beginning in 25, obviously we're going to see pretty soon some construction walls going up in separate parks, which are going to be obviously relevant to these coming attractions. I think the fact that they're adding a hanging coaster, I love it. I love it. I'm a big coaster guy, and I think that any park for me, I'm a thrill seeker. I'm up for a big ride or a coaster, and for them to add a coaster into this park, I'm here for it. It doesn't say it's going to be a thrill ride, so I certainly wouldn't expect this to end up being like something wild, but I certainly think that it'll be good fun to have a coaster in Hollywood Studios, or another coaster in Hollywood Studios at that anyway. The next park we're going to go to is Disney's Animal Kingdom. I know this is a favourite for a lot of you, and unfortunately for this to happen, for this expansion that's gonna come, or expansion or retheme that is gonna happen, there is gonna be the closure of Dinosaur. That's been Dino Land USA has been on borrowed time, I think, for a little while, sadly. So its time is up. And what is coming? Well, we are gonna get a Tropical Americas themed land that's going to open in 2027. This is going to feature a new Indiana Jones attraction. Apparently this is going to be different from what guests have experienced at other Disney parks. I know there's been a lot of talk of them basically taking the one from Disneyland Paris and dropping it in here. They've taken the time and effort to say that it isn't going to be the same ride. And the blurb on this ride, it says, "In this new venture, the man with a hat has recently discovered a perfectly preserved Mayan temple. And that can only mean one thing. It's time to explore it. He's heard rumours about a mythical creature deep within the temple, and he's got to see it for himself. So he brings us along on the adventure." I love a bit of Indiana Jones. I'm a big fan. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'm a big fan. I hope that they, in some capacity, bring back a de-aged Harrison Ford. For me, Indiana Jones isn't Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford. So for me, if they can do that, I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. Whatever ride vehicle they opt to use on this ride, I'm sure they'll do something spectacular. The fact that this is going to open in 27 suggests they're going to do fairly major work. So I'd be, put it this way, I'd be disappointed if they basically took Dinosaur and just like re-themed the ride. I'm not sure that justifies opening in 2027 just to do that. I think this is a full overhaul. I think we're getting a new attraction. In addition to Indiana Jones, there is going to be Disney's first Encanto themed attraction, and there's also going to be a new carousel with characters from Disney stories. And I was just trying to look into the Encanto attraction. It might have a potentially unique ride vehicle with kind of riders sitting in opposite directions. There's no confirmation to that. Whatsoever. So, I'm just like doing the same as you guys. I'm seeing this come out, I'm Googling it, I'm having a little look, I'm reading through like 3 or 4 different articles just to see what people are saying, what's been announced. It's difficult because we're obviously not there at D23, so there's a lot to break down. There's a lot to try and get your head around a little bit at least as well. But I'm here for this. I've obviously had a lot of conversations with people about Animal Kingdom, and I know that quite a lot of people have said they think Animal Kingdom is a half-day park. I'm not keen on saying anything's a half-day park. I'm going to be honest with you. That's not the way I'd go. Just because I haven't been to Animal Kingdom as much as other parks recently, that's based on the fact that there hasn't been enough attractions for me to want to spend my money and time there as much as anything. But something like this really it piques my interest big time. I'm big on Indiana Jones. I'm really up for that. I think that's such a great idea. I think it's in keeping as well. And Encanto, a great film. In terms of Disney films in the past few years, I think it's certainly up there. and I think it's a good move. I think it's a good shout. I'm all for it. Absolutely all for it. 2027. So we got a little bit of a wait on that one, but in fairness, there's a few things coming in 25. So we can't be too disappointed. There is one more attraction coming to Animal Kingdom, and that is going to be a new Zootopia Better Together show, and that's coming to the Discover Island part of the park in winter 25. Again, this is exciting. This is a franchise that probably needs a bit more love. It's a good film. I know there's a second Zootopia film coming. That was announced on Saturday. I'm all for shows. If we get the opportunity to see more shows, get to see these characters kind of come to life, then I'm absolutely for it. I think that's spot on. The fact that it's coming in 25 as well, it's something that doesn't feel too far away, considering that the other attractions are looking like 27 for Animal Kingdom. The final announcement that they gave, or two announcements, is in Epcot. The first thing that they announced is a new Spaceship Earth inspired lounge will open in 2025, which I'm excited for that. I'm excited for new lounges. I'm excited for new opportunities to go to dining opportunities and things like that. All for it. I think Spaceship Earth is an absolute staple of Epcot. I think it's a good shout. I like it. And that, as I said, is going to be 25. On to the final attraction that we know this is happening. This isn't an announcement, but this is Test Track. Test Track, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. I've talked about Test Track a lot. Unfortunately for me, I think Test Track, it used to be a brilliant ride, and I think it went a bit downhill. But I'm here for them doing a reimagination of it. This is the blurb, so I'm going to read it. It's a fairly long one, but this is the blurb that they've basically announced with the reimagination of Test Track. Walt Disney Imagineering is collaborating with Chevrolet to push innovation forward and celebrate humanity's enduring drive on the thrilling road to a brighter tomorrow. Test Track will celebrate today's innovation while highlighting the past, present and future. The queue will feature 6 distinct exhibits, and within each room celebrate the vehicles and people behind the vehicles that push the envelope and help get people to our next chapter in our motion journey. New show scenes will be added, showcasing technological advances and how our lifestyles and relationships to mobility connect everyone. Enjoy a joyride through scenes focusing on onboard technology, customization and personalization, followed by a trip through a scenic outdoor route reminding us of all the joys of driving, taking in the world around us and spending quality time with friends and family. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what to think about this blurb. I think it is them trying to sugarcoat a fairly soft retheme. That could be controversial. I'm not sure. I'm excited for it. I used to love Test Track, so I really don't want to talk down on it or anything like that. I'm a positive guy. I'm always positive about every ride that's potentially going to be coming out. So I'm certainly here for it. I think it's a ride that Epcot certainly needs by all means. It feels a little wishy-washy to me. The whole spiel about like taking a scenic outdoor route and spending quality time with friends and family. Like, I don't know, that just feels a bit much to me. Like, absolutely, that's what Disney's all about. But at the same time, for those 20 seconds that I'm outside on Epcot, that's probably not what I'm thinking about. But fair enough. Like, each to their own. Like, I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what they do with it. I hope that they make it interesting, exciting, educational, the lot, as they always do in Epcot. But I want a bit of old Test Track. And that's kind of where I stand on it. But that is basically all of the D23 announcements for Orlando summed up. And I appreciate that this is a fairly quick episode. This is me basically looking into it, finding out what they've announced, and basically relaying the information to you guys. In terms of what I'm most excited for, obviously the Villains Land. I'm super excited for. I'm excited for that, and I said probably 27, if not later. Let's be absolutely real. It fully depends on the scale of which they're planning to do this. 2 attractions, doesn't suggest huge. It suggests a big area by all means, But, you know, if they're managing to do it in Dino Land, then by 27, then what's to say that Villains can't be at the same time? Ultimately, it's going to take longer to take previous attractions and stuff like that down than it is to build it from the bottom up. That's probably a fact. Yeah, I'm so excited for that. But for me, personally, what I'm most excited for is the Indiana Jones. I'm buzzing for it, and I might be on my own on that. I'm intrigued to know what you guys are thinking, what you're most excited for. Tell me, hit me up on the Instagram, hit me up in the comments, and let's have a good chat about it, because I'm buzzing for it. I'm especially buzzing off the back of a lot of the D23 film announcements. There's some really, really cool stuff coming. I'm absolutely buzzed for some of the projects they've announced, and you know, we're the winners. We are the winners here, and I know I've had this conversation. I did an episode a few weeks ago with regards to the Disney reacting to Epic Universe kind of situation. For me, this is the perfect reaction. It's not knee jerk. Let's be real. This isn't them going like changing their shorts because unfortunately they've made a mess. You know what I mean? They're basically going, let's just be sensible. We are gonna do lands. They might not be huge lands, but we are gonna stick with IPs. We feel like that is what's working for us. But you know, they're bringing different attractions. They're bringing unique attractions to Orlando is the main thing. The fact that they're not just pulling attractions from around the world, I think I'm absolutely I'm buzzed for that. I'm really, really happy that they've made that decision to have Orlando as kind of the flagship for doing new attractions as well. I'm really excited. I cannot wait. And honestly, I can't wait to go out there in 25 and hopefully experience some of these new attractions and, you know, lounges and themed areas as much as anything. But yeah, please do let me know your thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed this bonus episode, and I will speak to you in the next one.